Hello and welcome to Conscious Living, and Happy New Year to everybody out there around the world, wherever you're watching, whether it's morning, noon, or night, or even after the fact of today. I want to welcome you to 2025. My name is Marc Caron, and we are here on Conscious Living, where we air every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on CFRO 100.5 FM in Vancouver. And today I'm really excited about our program because, it's New Year's and it's the time of year where we all kind of gather around and look back at the year in the past and all the things that we want to change as we move forward. And it's always an interesting thing because New Year's resolutions, everybody sets lofty goals and plans to change their life, yet 98% of people never follow through and they give up after 7 to 14 to 21 days. So today we're going to have a conversation with a good friend of mine and a very special guest. First off, Michael will be joining me, Michael Kraus. He's been on the program a number of times before, and Michael is the visionary and founder of Awaken.global. And he has over 20 years of experience as a social entrepreneur. He's led over 3 startups and companies and is currently the social media director of Unify, a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to establishing global peace through inner peace. Michael, welcome to the program, and always a pleasure to work with you as a partner in production and, doing what we do to change the world. Welcome to 2025.
Happy New Year, Mark, and thank you for allowing me to be here with you and to really celebrate the beginning of the new year. And I think your T-shirt pretty much says it all. Love is my new normal, and
It certainly is.
I think love should be all our new normal around the planet. And it has always been. It's just that we need to start to recognize it more
Well, that's
deeply.
what we all want, right?
Yeah,
When you break down our human condition, the Beatles said it best, and it was kind of part of my awakening in 2007, where, all you need is love, right?
that's right. All there is love.
Hey, there we go. Excellent. Well, I'm also really excited to, introduce our guest. But before that, today we're going to talk about gratitude and, really having an attitude of gratitude and appreciating what, life does for us, not to us. And we're also going to be talking about abundance because it's been a crazy 2024, with everything happening politically in the world, through economies, and not just here in Canada, but around the world. And how do we have abundance? And I'm not talking just money, but it's that mindset of abundance and how we think, how we feel, how we interact. And today we have a special guest, and I just found out I had an opportunity to meet Sujith a while back with a program we were doing and some other work that Michael and I are involved in. And he's just such a beautiful soul. And today, as we were talking before the program, he's been on Conscious Living Radio before, back before my day, where he knows Tasha and Andrew. And so it's really nice to see this come full circle. So Sujith Ravindran is a contemporary mystic and serial author. His latest book is called The 7 Mystical Laws of Abundance, and he's the founder of the Being Abundance movement. Sujith travels extensively, and right now he's coming in from Venice, Italy, where he takes his teachings to over 70 countries throughout the world, and he uses storytelling and humor. I love humor because we all like to laugh. I think it's important to convey his profound messages with simple clarity. For work around spiritual upliftment, he was also awarded the honor of Ambassador of Peace in 2012 by the Council of Assisi in Italy. Welcome to the program, and welcome back, shall I say, to the program, Sujith. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me with such joy, such a welcomeness. And yes, you're right. Tasha, Andrew, I have some memories. And yes, you said it right. You spoke about love, you spoke about gratitude, and you spoke about abundance. You know, all these three resonate so deeply with my heart, Mark. If we can think about any divine archetype that each one of us in these days would like to fully explore, fully embrace, fully embody, fully express, then these three are they. So thank you for taking a stand for all this. I'm so inspired.
You're muted, Mark.
The classic Zoom. You're muted. Well, I was just going to say thank you about the inspiration comment because it kind of leads to my life's purpose to be an inspiration to others. And Sujith, I find you very inspiring as well as Michael. So I'm glad we're here today to have this conversation. And when you talk about joy, I think joy, happiness, and peace is really one of our God-given gifts and something that we are all entitled to and that we all need to embrace. And, for many reasons in today's world, I think we lose sight of that as we become human doings versus human beings. And, when we don't live in that vibration of joy, it really puts a damper not just on ourselves and our own psychology and energy, but also to those that we interact with. So I think bringing joy and, in reading your bio, the humor part I love because I love to be funny and silly and playful. And it's just so important to bring that out in each and
Oh,
every one
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's like you don't have humor. If you don't have Mark, life is like a black and white, film, a black and white picture versus humor. It turns a black and white picture into a color photo. That's the difference with humor. Humor of, for me, talking of humor, is the elastic of the underwear. Literally, like, no elastic, no underwear.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
Oh,
Yeah, well, humor is one of those things I think we all need to laugh more. We've gotten so caught up in, making life so serious. And,
yeah.
I'm not saying that there aren't serious moments and that we don't need to be aware of that, but it's to, have fun along the way, and to laugh. And it's one of those questions I'll ask people is like, when was the last time you had one of those gut wrenching, belly hurting laughs that is just like, oh my God, you know?
Oh,
And that's the kind of thing I look for is that kind of joy and
wow.
playfulness in what we do and how we communicate, right?
maybe, maybe,
Totally, totally. Michael, go ahead.
maybe we can have one of those laughs right now. Actually,
Well, it's that laughing for no reason. Have you ever seen that? He calls himself the laughing yogi, and it's laughter yoga, and it's pretty funny, because it starts off like you never know what you're gonna get, and this fellow, and he's an Indian man too, and it's so beautiful his accent and his laughs. Everybody just gets laughing, and it's all about releasing those endorphins. So I think it's important, and I think it's a nice segue into gratitude. And, you know, I think it's a lot easier to laugh when we have gratitude, and it's a lot easier to live a fulfilled life when we have an attitude of gratitude. And I think so often we um, forget,
Hmm.
how great we have it in the world today compared to, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and in the past, and even depending where you live in the world today. That we were talking before we got on, we were talking about technology, and when technology kind of crashes in a live stream, sometimes people get all a little freaked out and all worked up. But I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to connect with different people from around the world with these technologies, even if it cuts out for a bit or things happen. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this conversation with you while you're in Italy. and Michael's, an hour away by car as well. So, we don't always have to be local now. We can act local and reach global. And I'm grateful for that opportunity as well. So,
What I just experienced in that laughter when I encouraged us to laugh is the gratitude for both of you and for the situation right now in the present moment. It was a feeling of gratitude and love for simply being here in joy with you and sharing that experience and how profound that is. And how can we exponentially increase that with all our connections and really be grateful for one another being here in this journey together right now on this planet and going through this transformation. And one of my key things that I would like to talk about, or that comes to mind, is how can we hold hands and how can we walk into this new humanity, into this transformational era together. And I believe that is one of the greatest tasks and perhaps responsibilities that is being asked of us right now. And how can we do it in joy and not in struggle?
that's a great question, Michael. What are your thoughts on that, Sujith?
Firstly, both of you, you embody that spirit, both of joy and gratitude. And that it's a great example for me to learn from, to be reminded of. You know, that you're doing this as a service to the greater good because you see not the scarcity in life, but the abundance around us. And for me, Michael, I've known Michael now for such a long time. You know, Michael, you embody that agency that we have. And Mark, you spoke very, very rightly when you said, like, yes, there's a lot of pain going around these days. 2024 has been a year of transition for many people. It has been a time of hardship, some sacrifices, some suffering, some preparations, some lessons, and it has not been very kind to many,
And
many people.
Sujith, I want to throw in there too, because you nailed a whole bunch of things, and it's the uncertainty that all of that brings to people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Like politics, money, relationships, the uncertainty of everything, and not just locally in our country here in Canada or in the US, but globally around the world. There is so much uncertainty right now.
oh yeah, oh yeah, totally. And it's very, very easy for us just to become unconscious, to be conditioned, to be autopilot, and allow our inner reality to be entangled with that external reality. You know, uh, I'm not asking any of you to become a narcissist like me. No, not that. I'm simply just pointing to a fact that yes, there are a lot of hardship out there. Yes. And yes, we have the agency to choose our inner state as we want. With this new normal called love that Mark you're embodying, it's very easy for me to just pull out my middle finger and show to you. And then suddenly, like, oh my goodness, my happiness is gone because somebody showed me the middle finger. You know, why should my inner reality be entangled with somebody's middle finger? It's that person's middle finger. Yeah, good for that person that she or he has got a middle finger. Good. And it works. But what is the connection between that middle finger and my inner state? I have that agency to choose not to be entangled with the external reality. So, another fantastic sacred standard for 2025, disentangle from the middle finger.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up because it's the meaning we give something, right?
Amen.
So what does the middle finger mean? Some people it could mean F you, and to others, and this is something I learned in some seminar I was in years ago where a guy was talking about exactly that and what the meaning of the middle finger meant. And apparently if it's true, I don't know, but I love what he was sharing was the middle finger means learn the lesson with great difficulty.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
So it's
that,
the question. It's the question we ask and the meaning we give something,
amen. Yes, exactly. It is the stories we tell ourselves, the
Hmm.
references that we've made. Like, if you are in the West, oh, yes, right from the time we are in school, I'm sure somebody has taught us the middle finger means, abuse, disrespect, insult, etc. So we've associated that meaning to the middle finger. And then we are driving on the road, getting to work in the morning traffic, and somebody pulls out the middle finger. And suddenly your day is ruined. Somebody that you never even met, somebody on the road. And I can tell you this, and I'll stop here after this, Mark, I promise. You
It's
know, if you go to rural India, I'm from rural India. If you go to rural India somewhere and you show your middle finger to somebody there, there's a great likelihood that that person will maybe just invite you home for dinner because they have no association with the middle finger. It's like thumbs up. Like
yeah,
middle finger also could be like, I love you, or you're a fine person, or you're dressed well today.
I love it. Well, and this it gets me to, something I learned years ago as well that kind of brought up and when we talk about meaning, and this is where, as human beings we're meaning makers, and in that there is a say this guy said nothing has any meaning but the meaning you give it, right? So choose your meaning wisely. And this is what you were kind of talking about when we go into these unconscious places and we're not choosing our meaning, we're not looking for the lesson, we're not grateful for what we might get from that. And questions and how we talk to ourselves, whether out loud or internally, are super powerful. So we have to choose our meaning wisely and ask really great questions, especially what else does this mean? Right? What can I learn from this? What's good about this situation? And how can I make that best? And then you go into a value-based system for yourself. And, so many of us don't choose our values consciously or what we believe in consciously. We're conditioned, as you were talking about earlier, based on our upbringing, society, culture, government, schools, religion, all of those things. And it's time that I think what we're seeing now in the world today is the flow of information to be able to discern what's true, right, versus what's not, and then to be able to act accordingly with a higher purpose versus being reactive. And, these are where I think we want to get in and start talking about, you know, abundance, because what does abundance really mean? And I know it's one of your most recent books, the Mystical Laws of Abundance, and of course you're doing with Michael coming up. But I think it's really important that we all have a conversation and kind of change the way we think about what abundance and prosperity means, not just to ourselves, but to those around us.
If I may interject into that, um, I'm going into that which the elders have spoken of before, and one of them, and I always have I have a hard time calling my favorite prophecy because there isn't any such thing as a favorite prophecy, but one that really resonated with me is the Hopi elders prophecy. And I've been contemplating, we have so much content and so much wisdom that those who came before us had shared with us, and yet we're not really applying it, we're not really doing anything with it, we're not really integrating that wisdom into efficient and effective change on the planet. And so within the Hopi prophecy, and I'm cutting it really short, it says, banish the word struggle from your vocabulary and your attitude. And I think, and that prophecy is from 2002, or the Hopi Elders prophecy. And I'm like, this is exactly what we need to do right now. Is we need to, from a negative point of view, perhaps banish the word and the attitude of struggle. And the opposite of that is, how can we bring abundance into our lives? And when Sujith and I had a conversation, maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, we explored the possibility of creating a course around his book, The 7 Mystical Laws of Abundance. And what I, from my personal experience with Sujith, is he understands abundance. He understands the energy and the mystical laws of abundance. And there is one quote that is most likely my favorite quote, is, to believe and to understand are not diverse things, but the same things in different periods of growth. And so for me, when I hear Sujith talk about abundance and the wisdom and his knowledge, it's not that he believes in it, he understands it. And this is the teacher that I would like to listen to, and I would like to hear and share his wisdom. And so we've created this course that is now starting, or we didn't create the course, Sujith created the course. I'm simply here to provide the technology and part of the experience behind it, starting January 11th. And maybe Sujith, if you can talk a little bit deeper into that experience and into your wisdom around abundance.
Wow. Wow. You know, I have to say, Michael, how grateful I am that you're such an amazing steward, such an amazing custodian of this cause of abundance. And, just before this show, Mark, you were talking about, how abundance, the experience of abundance, the manifestation of abundance is deeply wound into our inner reality. Oh, absolutely. That is very, very much the second law of abundance. That all that we see manifest around us in abundance is just an echo, is just an echo of our inner reality. And yes, during these 49-day abundance journey, we will jump into that exercise to truly understand the empowerment that we have, the agency that we have to create that inner shift in abundance and subsequently see that abundance manifest externally. And of all the people I know, Mark, I have a feeling you understand this really well. The words that you spoke just before the show demonstrated that indeed, in our all worldly existence, if we look around, there are 10 areas of life in worldly existence that we pursue abundance. You know, very intuitive things. For some people, money and materials is abundance. For some other people, health and vitality is. For yet other people, love and family is. For some other people, it is connection and community. For yet some other people, it is self-worth and identity. For other people, it is what you said earlier, Mark, meaning making is abundance. Yet for some other people, higher purpose is abundance. For others, our creative expression is abundance. And then for others, transcendence, bliss is abundance. For some other people, self-realization is abundance. So these are the 10 areas where we pursue abundance. Yet that important link that you, Mark, established is the crucial takeaway for the listeners. that whatever abundance that we pursue in our lives, it is related to who we are. It is a function of who we are internally, the abundance that we embody within. And there is some very advanced algorithm to that, that in these 49 days, abundance journey starting the 11th of January, we will start practicing. And the invitation there, of course, is that we will fully master this algorithm that is around the 7 mystical laws of abundance. And then by the end of that process, we would have internally shifted ourselves from a place of unwholeness or scarcity to a place of gratitude, abundance, and possibilities. And then after that, it is just a matter of like celebrating the divine conspiracy of the universe. It'll be amazing for us to just simply like, sit back and see, we want to have that blue car and that blue car manifesting. If car
How
is
do you know I
important to
have a
you,
blue car?
all right, there you go. Because you're already complete within, you're already whole within, Mark. So that is really where we should be focusing on when it comes to abundance creation. That if my unconscious choice is to continue to persist in scarcity, because all the wounds that I've inherited, all the conditioning that I've had, the poverty or the scarcity or the lack that I grew up with, then I shouldn't be surprised to see that lack continue to manifest around me. And the funny thing is that inner work is not a means to an end. It shouldn't be. It should just be the end in itself. To what Michael and Mark you said earlier, you are such passionate stewards of joy. So just imagine practicing the recultivation of abundance as an act of joy.
I love it. That's fantastic. Oh, I thought you froze there for a second, but I wanted to touch on something you said there, Sujit. But before I do that, I want to go back to what Michael was saying about, the about struggling with things. And when we talked about joy and being playful and humorous, I think language is super powerful, and we need to be really mindful of our language. And what if we just change that word struggle to what are we dancing with?
Hmm.
Struggle has that, it's such a, vibration of challenge and frustration, versus dancing can be fun and playful and joyful. And how do we dance with that? And again, it's languaging, but if we're always using the word struggle, you know, how do we change that up? And one I know is language, which brings me to what you were saying, Sujith, about divine purpose, divine higher purpose. And a life without purpose
Hmm.
is a very challenging thing, because people don't know why they're even doing what they're doing. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about, a purpose-driven life and how to align that with, more of what you're speaking about from that abundance mindset as well.
Mm, 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 mm. Oh, it's a very, very powerful question, Mark. And I know that Michael also will have something very, very powerful to share to this invitation. You know, one of the big injustices, that I see many people do, and I think, some real disciplining is in order for, that disservice is that we equate purpose to some material goal. And that is, you know, at least it being January 1st of this year, worth deleting. Let's simply hit the erase button, the delete button, and forget that equation. Because it is so limiting. If I would say my purpose in life is to make X amount of money, or move to Vancouver Island, or whatever it is, you know, all of that is just a little footnote to the experience. It's like, it's just a little pit stop from that dance, Mark, you were talking about. Now, for me, for the mystics, for the sages, the understanding of purpose is so much more holistic. And I can break this down very briefly in a minute. You see, none of us, we are here by accident. Even when we were born through unplanned pregnancy. No, it is meant to be exactly that way. And we are born to fulfill a very profound purpose around self-realization. So, all of us, human beings, in India, we talk about that as Manava Dharma. All of us, our collective purpose, everyone's purpose is towards self-realization, to become one with the cosmic consciousness. Yet, for Michael, and for Marc, and for Sujith, and for Tasha, that there is something called Swadharma, a very unique purpose that predicates your journey of self-realization in this body. And all of that comes down to just the exploration or expression or embodiment of a few divine archetypes. That is it. Like love, the very, very most important divine archetype is indeed that love. We look at Jesus Christ and we automatically associate love with him. We say, oh, Jesus Christ is the archetype of love. Good. Abundance is yet another archetype. Power, beauty, truth-seeking, justice, wholeness, these are the divine archetypes. There are 9 of them that we recognize in my mystical context. That the embodiment, the exploration, expression, and embodiment of these archetypes are our purpose. The fact that Michael immediately caught on to your t-shirt, but also over the last couple of years, Michael, I've known you. You are this phenomenal archetype of love. You're all the time showing up that way. Even when things don't get served or things get delayed or something is not functioning, whatever it is, you show up with love. I know for myself, I am on that exploratory journey. My purpose is very strongly related to truth seeking. Similarly, I know, Marc, you also with Conscious Living Radio, this championship of yours is also in a large way the manifestation of truth, the manifestation of beauty, of love, of connection, of oneness, wholeness. It is the exploration, the embodiment of these archetypes that is truly our higher purpose. And in the process of that manifestation, which is incidentally the 6th law of abundance, the universe brings to us all the resources we need in order to live our dharma, our purpose. If a home on Vancouver Island is what I need for that, that'll come. If it is network or contacts I need, it'll come. If it is a beautiful blue car with fancy steering wheels and a good loud horn that I want in order to realize my purpose, it'll come. If it is money, good health, love, relationships, whatever it is that I need, the resources I need in order to live my dharma shall be provided to me by the universe. That is the sixth law of abundance. It'll just come. But those things, those resources, pursuing those resources are not our higher purpose. It is the embodiment of these archetypes.
Beautifully said. Anything to add to that, Michael? You look like you're in deep thought.
Yeah, I'm always mesmerized by the beauty and the wisdom and the knowledge and how Sujit radiates that through his voice, and not just through the voice itself, but also through the silence in between his words. And there's such sacredness within it that I just can't just be in awe, and that's where I land up every single time that I have this contact with you. I have a question for you. How much of a responsibility do you believe each and one of us has to step into the Dharma in this time of great transition, and therefore into abundance consciousness? Because again, I believe that this perhaps is, besides holding each other by the hand and stepping into this new paradigm, I also feel that we need to really recognize the responsibility that we have in order to shift our consciousness towards abundance consciousness, away from struggle, away from anxiety, away from the distraction that is preoccupying our minds on a daily basis. So if you could maybe speak into that.
Wow. You know, a very deep question, Michael. I have to say, if I do not accept that responsibility uh, towards self-realization, towards fully realizing my purpose, I will I will suffer in hellfire. I'll become the victim of the Satan.
And it's, I want to throw into that, Sujith, because it reminds me of a great book that I read not long ago. And the reason I bring it up is it relates to purpose. And I
Uh,
think most of us and many of us are probably familiar with the great book everybody recommends and refers to, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now, he had written another book in the 30s called Interview with the Devil, when you
mhm.
speak about Satan. And his wife wouldn't allow him to publish it because it was so on point, and they were afraid they were going to get killed and murdered or something because of what he was saying. But in
Wow.
reading this book, you would think he was talking to the devil. And the number one thing I remember and take from this is what gives Satan, or, that energy, the power, is a life without purpose. It's
Wow.
when people
Wow.
have a purpose and they know what they want, and it's higher led to a divine higher
Yeah.
purpose. There's no control there because you're driven by something greater than just yourself. And
Yes.
the way he puts it all together, I recommend it as a great read for anybody out there who's interested. But it's an easy read and it's a great book. And they released it, I think, in 2010 after everybody had passed away, because it was
Mhm.
so, when it talked about establishment and things like that, it certainly said a lot. And
Mhm.
to see how something written in the 30s was still relevant today
Wow.
is
Wow.
really profound. But it comes back to having that life of purpose. And I think it was Rick
Yeah.
Warren, The Purpose Driven Life. And there's so many great, teachings around purpose that I think
Yeah.
we need to get on. And this is why we have a
Yes.
epidemic of depression and frustration and anxiety,
Yes.
because people are getting up, going to work, doing things that they don't like to do just to make money, to pay their bills, to do things, but they're not purpose driven, you know?
Amen.
So now all
Amen.
of a sudden you're depressed because you're doing it for what? You know?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
showing up with that higher purpose. Even in
Amen.
a job like washing dishes, how can you find joy in washing
Yes.
dishes? How can you
Yeah.
find joy in doing the things, on Tony Robbins' fire team, we always talk about, we call it embracing the suck. It may suck, but we're going to embrace it while we're doing it because it has to be done, because it's
Uh,
all leading towards a higher purpose, right?
Amen. Oh, yeah. Wow. The wisdom that is flowing in this space is phenomenal. The reflections that both of you share is like of such an order that you are like in a different stratosphere. It's God's voice coming through you for me, and I want to acknowledge both of you for that. You know, you said it right, Mark. And this connects to Michael's question. We shouldn't just sit back and allow purpose to happen to us like lightning strikes us and poof, I wake up and now I'm purpose driven. No, it is a choice that I can make because until that time, I've taken that personal decision. I made that personal choice to live a life embedded in purpose. What's happening? I'm asleep. That's what's happening. I'm asleep through life. My conditioning leads me. And what is this conditioning we talk about? It is the sum of all my past experiences, the little cuts, the thousand little cuts, the experiences I've had in school, the struggles that my parents faced, the tanking of the economy, and all the other difficulties that we face, the conditioning from the media, all of that. That's our conditioning. And I'm not even insisting, Mark, Michael, to believe in past lives. I don't believe in past lives. I know there is past life. It's not a belief, it is a knowingness. And today, thanks to modern science and all that, yes, it's been proven. Our conditioning is a sum of all these past experiences from this life and past life. And that conditioning just makes us autopilot. And most of the people, and I'm speaking with love. If I'm not, then you can unfriend me on Facebook, okay? But I can tell you this. I'm speaking this from love. Most people around me are unfortunately wound in a journey of self preservation. That is it. For many of them, I know a day well lived, and I'm being a little humorous, maybe a little cynical saying this, you know, a day well lived for many of us is a day where we succeeded in keeping our soul and body together. Yippee! What a great day. Because, I made it through today. That's not how we are designed to live. No, we are designed to choicefully claim the path of purpose. And then, you talked about what was that from Tony, the
What, the
taking
embrace
on
the
the
suck?
embrace the suck. It is for me. I mean, all this stuff. I mean, the mundane, the chores, whatever it is. It's spiritual practice. I make a conscious choice that what, if I have to take care of this, like loading the wood from outside to inside the house. You know, I try to find the beauty in it, the joy in it, the connection in it, the breathing expansively in nature with it. And suddenly I experience joy. And in that act, whether it is even, I rarely ever drive, but if I do, even turning that into a spiritual practice. If it is sorting the garbage or taking the garbage out or loading the dishwasher or washing the dishes, whatever it is, when I do it, it's not a chore. I do not want it to be a chore because that is a defeat of purpose. The moment I label it a chore, what am I doing? I'm saying, like, what? Oh my goodness, there is this hour of my life or hours of my life, which is essentially a compromise or a sacrifice or a waste of life. And after I get rid of this, then I will continue living life. No, that's also my life. And what is the joy in there? Can I make play out of it? Which, incidentally, before I would forget, and I think that we only have a couple of minutes more left, this would be my prayer. This is a prayer that I've told myself, by the way, Mark. I've said, you know what? The last couple of years, I've actually, I'm be enjoying this very, very much, by the way. The last couple of years, many of the invitations for me to offer spiritual discourses or keynotes, I've turned them into spiritual stand-up comedy just to have fun. And now, the way I've anchored that into my resolution or my intention or my standards for 2025 is as follows. Five. I've embraced five standards moving forward. One is sing, dance, play, smile, laugh.
I
These
love
are the
it.
virtues of sages.
Yes, I love what you're saying because that's kind of how I've been living lately. When I get into doing what I'm doing, I'm at work and doing things. I'm singing and dancing, being fun and playful, and it changes not just my energy, but people around you. This one lady looks and she goes, "Are you like this all the time?" I go, "Yeah, pretty much." And she just thought it was a refreshing change because we don't see that in the world as much. We get big kind of adults, we forget to play. We get all serious. And
Mm,
when we can sing, laugh, dance, and I love that you say you turn it into like spiritual comedy. It's because I think what happens is as human beings, we learn best when we don't know we're actually learning. And humor
mm.
opens up a pathway for that. And when we laugh, and then we talk about conditioning, the laughing just anchors it into our body even more. So I thank you for your approach and how you share your wisdom.
And
Thank you.
if I may interject into this, talking about the offering of the course of over this 49-day journey, it's not a chore. And so what my intention is for this course is to create a sacred space where we
Mm,
come together and we recognize each other and we celebrate through joy and dance and the expression of higher consciousness, and have fun together, be in joy, and
wow.
almost step out from the
Mm,
individual perspective, but look at it from a
yeah.
more outside perspective and see what is being created and how we can move through this transformation to then emerge with a deeper knowledge and ultimately with
Wow.
something that is going to transform our lives. And that's where what excites me is to what could that look like, what is that container that needs to be created, and how can we make it a dance of joy and sacredness for all of us involved.
Well, one thing I want to add to what you said there, Michael, is in that safe, sacred space. Within that is the space to be authentic, to be our true selves. Because it's the one thing I've been seeing for a number of years now. When you create that space where people feel safe to be themselves, take off all their masks and not be judged, to be seen, to be heard, to share, changes everything because we're so busy trying to be pleased and liked out there in the world that how many of us are really truly authentic in everything that we do. And in this program, I look forward to this space to share authentically, to laugh authentically, to play authentically
Wow.
without being judged. And I think that authenticity is the
Yeah.
pathways. One of my words for 2025, absolutely, is how do I show up as
Mm,
my authentic self with peace, love, understanding, and knowing that in my imperfection I'm perfect. And that's what I'm looking for.
wow.
Happy 2025.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good ride. I think, I don't think it can get any worse. All I can say is I think as our mindset as we go into it is how do we accept what is,
Yeah.
and then choose meaning that is empowering, that makes a
Yes.
difference for ourselves. Because
Yeah.
Sujith, as you were saying, the chores of, dishes or laundry or what have you, if we're not enjoying what we're doing, in my book, it's kind of not, we're not being present
Yeah.
because we're outside of ourselves. We're thinking about what else we could do instead of doing what we're doing and enjoying it. And it's that being present, being in the moment that
Yeah.
really allows us to be even more authentic
Yeah.
and being present to what is.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that makes any chore, anything miserable, is the meaning and the language and the story we're telling about what that is.
Yes. Well said. Oh, absolutely. Being present. That is such a valuable standard, too.
Mhm.
What a great reminder, Mark. Very, very wise men, both of you. Both of you. And the best part is, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're dancing, you're singing, you're playing, and nobody has put you in a mental sanatorium. So it's safe. It's safe to be yourself. Lovely. How nice is that? And to that presence thing, this is a last remark I want to make on that one. Yes, if we can be present to those chores and seek the joy out of it, connect with the beauty and the love in it, then how am I ever going to be handling this volatile worldly reality that's around me? You know, Canada, you know, so many people I know in Canada, they are actually having a tough time. And with the way things are going, I'm told by futurists that things are going to remain a little volatile for a while. But hey, you know, that is just an outside reality. It is just demonstrating, like you said, it's not a struggle or a challenge. It is just a lesson in disguise.
Mm.
It's happening there. It's all volatile. It's becoming complicated. It is becoming a little ambiguous, uncertain. What it's trying to do for me, the reminder is all that is an illusion. Becoming attached to it makes no sense. So I might as well allow it to persist in its own chaos because it'll sort itself out when I stop giving attention to it one day. And instead, be present to my experience, to all the beloved people that I have around me. Just be present to it, to be present to the lovely people like Mark and Michael in my lives. Be present to my little kids, embrace them as teachers. Be present to my passions, my hobbies, the things that really expand me rather than contract me. Just showing up in that presence, you know, in a world that is becoming exponentially crazy. I think that level of simplicity saves us.
Mm. I love it. Very well said, and simplicity being the key. Let's not overthink it. No, we are running out of time. Sujith, I want to thank you for coming back on Conscious Living Radio today and taking the time out of your New Year's Day as it's late there in Italy. Michael, I thank you for bringing this together and bringing Sujith back to Conscious Living Radio and for being my partner in production and just such a great friend. I'm really grateful for you and for the work that you do and the work that we're going to continue to do as we move forward. So I thank you so much for that. And I just want to say, January 11th, awaken.global/abundance. If you want to, join this program, I believe it's by donation. It's free to join. And we want to bring everybody in. We want, if you're looking for some guidance and to learn and to grow and be part of community, it's certainly the place to do it. And I just want to thank you for the work that you're both doing in regards to helping people create a better everyday life, not just for themselves, but for everybody they touch. So last words, Michael, before we sign off today.
I just want to say thank you, and you can only recognize something in somebody else that is already within you. So this compliment goes right back at you. Thank you both for your time and your presence. today, and I'm so looking forward to this year
Yeah.
2025. I think it's going to be an incredible,
Mm.
beautiful experience for all of us, and it's a time of growth and transformation. And it starts with gratitude for who we are, and for one another, and with that also comes acceptance for who we are and who others are. And I'm excited for this year, and it started the best way I could imagine, with having both of you here and being in the presence. So thank you very much. It actually, for me, it started with making breakfast pizza this morning from the leftover pizza dough from last night. Was um, so that was the second best thing that happened this morning. Thank you,
Beautiful.
thank you, thank you.
Well, I thank you again, Sujith. I look forward to when you come to Vancouver and come back to Canada. Let's definitely do something for everybody out there listening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you're listening to this. Make 2025 the best year ever. And that's about our mindset and how we show up. And it's not just about the year 2025, it's every day, it's every moment
Yeah.
that we need to step into our authenticity, joy, happiness, playfulness, laughter. And I thank again Michael and Sujith for being here. You've been listening to Conscious Living here on 100.5 CFRO FM in Vancouver. Until next time, take care of each other. Thanks, everyone.